Chelsea 2, Tottenham 0. That's probably, I don't know why. Oh yeah, I had a lasagna, that's why. My face is a bit dirty there. That's probably all but killed Tottenham's Champions League hopes, which is good for City in a way, because that means when we go to Spurs to play at their stadium, they're going to have less to play for. Well, obviously, they've still got a game in hand, but Villa are 7 points clear of them. And other than Liverpool at home for Villa, I can't think of many tough teams that Villa have to play between now and the end of the season. So unless Villa absolutely capitulate, then they're going to get top 4 at this rate, because they've got 3 games to play and I think Spurs have got 4 to play. And they needed to win tonight, really, if they wanted to stand any chance of finishing in the top 4. And with that loss tonight, I'd say that's probably top 4 all but sealed for Aston Villa, but you never know, anything can happen. Because Spurs still have to go to Anfield, they still have to play us at home. So I can't see Spurs winning all their games, and I also can't see Aston Villa dropping that many points either. I did think Aston Villa were going to fall off at some point, but it's now actually looking like that they're actually going to get top 4. Obviously, things can still change because there's still quite a bit of football to be played, but I'm not expecting it to at this point. But maybe if you ask me this question, who's going to get top 4 on the last game week of the season, it could have all changed by then, because there's going to be a lot of twists and turns in a lot of departments of the league table between now and the end of the season, in my personal book. I don't think Spurs played that bad tonight. They created a lot of chances, had a lot of the possession, but it's just when they got into the final third, their passing and finishing let them down. And I think Chelsea just had that extra bit of quality in the final third. There wasn't a massive difference between both teams. I think both teams played pretty average, and it wasn't the best of quality games, but because of Chelsea's extra quality in the final third compared to Spurs, that's why they won, and that's why Spurs lost. If Spurs had Harry Kane or any half-decent striker in that game, they could have scored a few goals, because despite Chelsea having quite a few good chances themselves, they were also giving up quite a few chances as well. And if Spurs had been a bit more clinical, they could have got the odd goal here and there. But for the first goal, I'm not going to lie, there was some of this game that I missed, because when the game started, I didn't turn it on before the actual start of the game. And when I went for the goal, I was out of the room, the first goal, because I had some information to give to my mum. And then I came back, and then my dad was shouting that Chelsea had scored. Chalobah. There was talk of it obviously being a foul on Johnson, because he was because Cucurella was sort of grabbing hold of him, but I don't think there was anything really in that for it to be a foul. Yes, there was contact, but because Johnson still carried on moving, and Cucurella didn't really stop him moving from when the actual cross went into the box, I think it was the correct decision that the goal got awarded, and I don't understand why VAR took so long to come to the conclusion that it's a goal, because VAR seems to work in loads of different sports, but in football it never seems to be right. It either always seems to get the decisions wrong or take too long to actually come to the actual decision. So VAR has to go, in my opinion, because if they're not going to use it right, then what's the point of even having it in the first place? But the Chelsea second goal was actually pretty good. Good free kick by Palmer, hit the bar, and it wasn't an easy header by Jackson, who's had a lot of criticism this season for not always being the best with his finishing. But that was actually a pretty good header. I'll give him credit for that, and fair play to Jackson for that, really. Because I remember in the 4-1 earlier on in the season between Chelsea and Spurs, where Spurs got 2 players sent off, I think that was one of the worst hat-tricks I've ever seen from a player in the Premier League history. But to be fair to Jackson, I've just got putty stuck to my leg. 1 minute. Pull it off. Sorry about that. Oh my god. It's going to be putty all over my bloody trousers now. Oh well. Let me get into what I was saying. To be fair to Jackson, despite not having the best technical ability, he is still scoring quite a few goals. I think that's his 11th. Was it his 11th goal of the season? I'm pretty sure it was, yeah. And that's not bad considering the amount of criticism that he's got. And if that was Nunes that had 11 goals in the league in the season, I think he would be getting more plaudits than Jackson because of this massive Liverpool bias with around the media. But because it's Jackson and he's got sort of a name where people sort of assume that he's bad, that's why he gets a lot of criticism in my opinion. But I think next season, Chelsea and Spurs, there's a chance of them getting into the top 4 because I'm not sure how Liverpool are going to do next season without Jurgen Klopp. I've got a sneaky feeling that if they don't invest well in the transfer window, Liverpool, then there's a possibility that they could come 5th or 6th because I think the league's going to get more competitive next year. And it will be maybe 4 or 5 teams going for 4th spot. But I think Chelsea, if Chelsea can actually get consistency into their game, then they could actually be a problem. And if Spurs could get a bit more squad depth, because I think the problem that Spurs have had this season is that they've got a pretty good first 11, but when it comes to the bench, there's no one really on that bench that could come on into a game and actually make a massive difference on the outcome of the game. So if I'm Spurs, I'm getting a bit more squad rotations players into the squad in the summer. So because I think early on in the season Spurs looked really good, but when they've actually had injuries this season, they've struggled to cope with it because of not having a big enough squad. So if Spurs could actually get a big enough squad, then they could maybe come top 3, top 4 next season. Because I do think the only problem that they have really is squad depth and actually having a player that can actually score goals on a regular basis. If they got someone like Dusan Vlahovic or maybe an Ivan Toney, then there could be a problem, because the problem for Spurs is actually scoring goals. It's not actually creating the chances, because they're creating loads of chances, but they can't really score them. And I think for Chelsea, if they maybe got a better goalkeeper in, because I don't really rate Petrovic that highly, and if they maybe got maybe better quality centre-backs in, and maybe some competition for Jackson as striker, then I think they could be up there for the top 3 or 4 next season as well. It's just the thing is with Chelsea, their Big 6 record's pretty good, but when they play against teams like West Ham, Burnley, Fulham, teams like that, Brentford, they end up struggling. And if Chelsea want to get back into playing in the biggest competition in Europe, which is the Champions League, they have to get more of a consistency of winning games, not only against the big clubs, but against the small clubs as well. But thank you for watching this video. I'm going to be doing my predictions for the weekend fixtures tomorrow. And go check out my video where I was debating why the Pep versus Jurgen Klopp debate is a forced debate, and I don't believe it's a true debate. So go check that video out from earlier. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.